Hello, everyone. Welcome back to GTR 24H, the home of the Endurance eRacing World Championship and very shortly Season 2 of the ACC Sprint Series. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, one of the more recognised commentary members of the team, but we have to give you a bit more of an insight into the people that have joined us in the recent weeks, and I'm pleased to have alongside me a man you might know as King Kodiak, but he's also very well known to us as Chris Buxton. Good evening, Chris. How are you?
I am very well. Thank you, Alex. Really looking forward to the future ahead. The roadmap for GTR 4H is looking amazing, and I'm very excited to be part of it.
Chris, firstly, your voice is well recognised with Virtual GP alongside your good friend Justin. How did you get involved with sim commentary in the first place?
So that would be back in May 2016 when I first tried my voice to sim racing commentary. I was involved in... I just started making YouTube videos and I was learning how that sort of thing worked. And in the forums for the game I was making videos for, I saw an advert for a new racing league that was just starting. Now, the actual league was very well established in the Formula One games arena, but that wasn't where I was. That wasn't the game I was looking to, was making videos on. And it was just one of those things of, I'd never thought to try this before.
Yeah,
I had my own radio station on my own radio show, on the local radio station in the town that I live in. That had given me a bit of a taste on how that kind of audio broadcasting worked. And I've been in the customer service industry for many years, so my audio presentation skills have had a long time to be developed. But this seemed an exciting way of taking that audio presentation and that my interpersonal skill into the realm of motorsport, sim racing. I'd been enjoying video games in some way, shape, or form for many years, and this seemed an ideal way of combining the worlds. And I still remember vividly my very first commentary, and I was absolutely exhausted. I was shattered at the end of it. But I was hooked, absolutely hooked. And I did the thing that most new commentators do. I took on way too much too quick and started to burn out, which pretty much every new commentator does. And I did exactly the same. And I thought, whoa, okay, let's rein this back a little bit. But also, I've got a young family, so I have to be careful on how much time I put to sim racing, along with a full-time job. Et cetera, et cetera. Of course, that was back then. And I had no idea of the journey it would lead me on. It's led me on quite an amazing journey. And like you say, I have done work for VGP. I've done work for Formula One Esports. I've even been to McLaren's HQ in good old Woking. So that was behind the camera more than it was in front of it. So it was amazing opportunities. And it's actually allowed me to do some circuit side commentary as well. Not too many of those. That's been this year that I've had the opportunity to do that. And that's been it's a different challenge as well,
Yes.
Goldschmidt. Yes. It's a very different challenge, but I loved it. If it's to do with racing, I love being able to talk about it. I've often said that I would commentate on milk float racing if the opportunity arises. Such is my love of racing.
Does that include ones that have been modified by Ed China?
Probably ideally more than standard models. Standard model would be a little bit difficult even for someone with my years behind me to inject some life into. But I wouldn't. If the opportunity arose, I'd give it a go.
Yeah, I think probably most people would be given a chance if it had 300 brake horsepower behind it. Transfer, short block V8 Hemi, rear wheel drive. Still having a good old roll cage in there for safety. Someone with the overalls and the skid lid on. But there is one particular very, very well-known driver that has raced both in Formula One, but has also raced at Le Mans, and he just so happens to be from the very part of the world that you're from, isn't he? Mr. Jenson Button, if memory serves me correctly.
Jensen Button, indeed. I've had the very good fortune of interviewing the man twice, once in person and once for sim racing. And he is a very, very nice chap. But yes, he is from the town that I live in. I interviewed him live when I was doing my radio show because it was Formula One centric.
Yeah.
Of course, he is the local hero. He's still very highly revered in these parts. And he was doing a Christmas special where he brought I believe it was the 2006 McLaren and revved it up and down the streets here in the town centre, which was amazing. The local town council actually had to remove the speed humps from the road because the car would not go over them. And I hear tell that they actually completely trashed the engine because, of course, it was December and it was freezing cold. And yes, racing engines don't like cold. Not that cold, at least.
Well, not if they're warmed up correctly, they don't.
Apparently, he completely mullered the engine. But no, that was an amazing experience, actually, actually interviewing, the Jensen Button, a man who I've looked up to well before I ever started any kind of broadcasting aspirations. And like I said, so it was wonderful to be able to interview him live. And the opportunity I had to, I had a single question to ask when it was in sim racing terms. Now, I didn't reference the previous interview because there was a long time in between the two.
True.
And he's always a very busy man. But I did say greetings from Somerset. Whether he clocked the reference, I have no idea. But
I'm sure he probably did.
But the question I asked him was about the transferable skill between sim racing and real racing. Of course, he's raced pretty much anything on four wheels and very successfully. So it seemed an ideal opportunity to have him explain the transferable skill between sim racing and real world racing. It's something I've commented on in commentary a number of times. And he essentially said, taking sim racing apart, you would still have people in the simulators working for teams. So it's exactly the same concept. And I thought, that's very true. So it was wonderful to be able to speak to the man.
Yeah, I've interviewed him on a couple of occasions myself personally when he's been running on other championships such as the SimSport GT3 and GT4 leagues, which I know that you're part and parcel of. I mean, I used to commentate on that when it was in its infancy, and I still remember that Aaron Walker gave me a little bit of a grilling live on YouTube because someone said, "What, are you having a night off?" And I was over in Germany commentating, and you'd stood in and took my place where the words, "Oh, look at that. A lesser wild jaguar appears."
A wild jaguar appears, yes.
Yeah, exactly. it was one of those
wonderful race. I remember that.
That was a pretty good one. But obviously, coming on to the format that we have with the Endurance eRacing World Championship, what are your personal thoughts of it? Because you, Kieran, and David have only just joined the team. What's your experience been like as part of the interwoven fabric of the commentary and content team at GTR?
It's been amazing so far. I mean, I've worked with yourself before. I've worked with Kieran before, but I haven't worked with every element of the team previous to this. But we've all just clicked instantly, and as well, Alex, having a good team, a well meshed unit working all coherently and all in the same direction is so vital. You don't necessarily have to be the very best in your field, but you do have to be good at teamwork. No organization ever gets anywhere with just one person. Steered by one individual, yes, but it all requires all the cogs to be working properly, and having that good mesh is vital, absolutely vital. Now, I've managed commentators in the past, or I've been in a position of hiring and firing commentators for other leagues in the past. So I'm well aware of when it's gone wrong.
Yeah.
Which you don't always know until you put those elements together. You almost can't know. Because different commentators can be very, very good either on their own or with very specific pairings. But when you change those pairings or change the team, you can't always rely on that same dynamic moving from place to place. But what I found is that we all just clicked instantly. There was a wonderful level of course, professionalism, but a good amount of banter's not quite the word I'm looking for, but there was a bit of hilarity, just a bit of sense of humor thrown in there. And I think that's important, especially on more endurance-based commentaries. And I still remember when I was doing research on how to better doing endurance commentary myself. I remember looking up Le Mans commentary from, and I believe it was 2018, where Karun Chandok was talking about the Pink Pig Porsche, and the amount of times that sentence got said. That phrase got said in the same sentence had me in stitches, and that made me realize that, of course, if you're doing a 24-hour broadcast, you cannot stay just perfectly, down one particular path. You remain professional, of course you do, but there has to be room for the individual personality of the commentators to come through. We're not machines.
True. Very true there.
Now, in a sprint race kind of scenario, it's easier to stay formulaic because you're staying to, not to a script, of course, but you're staying to a particular formula for a very short period of time, and if that works, fine. But I feel it's very important for there to be individuality in how a commentator presents themselves, but also, more importantly, presents the show, because that's what we are. We're storytellers in a manner of speaking. We're there to inform and then to entertain. But if you can't do that to the best of your ability by injecting your own personality into it, the show overall is going to suffer.
And that's why you see our mugs on camera on a regular basis, people out there. Because the thing is that if it was just like us not being shown, you're not seeing the real us. You're not seeing our body language, how we convey, and that's what commentary is. I've always relayed it, and I did an article about this back in 2013, and it was the year after Motors TV. If anyone might remember that channel, I'm sure you do, Chris.
I do.
Motors TV actually opened an open casting call for commentary and for presenting. Nice. I did both. And I found out how difficult it was back then. And the one thing that's kept me grounded is how much of an eye-opener it was back to me at the Autosport International show. I didn't get the gig. Someone else did, someone a lot younger than me. But I thought, well, I've given it a go. And then 2017, the floodgates start opening. And then all of a sudden, as they say, the rest is history. I mean, Chris, you've been doing a bit of commentary quite recently. I think we both have at Snetterton in the good old east of England.
Yes, good old Norfolk. Got to say it right now.
Not far from.
They don't do teas down there in Norfolk.
No, they don't bar. They don't bar. You see, straight away. Now, if anyone might remember, this is one of the things that I think has to be the highlight of the season for me so far. Wasn't it you and Yusuf talking about Norfolk accents?
I think we did talk about that, because we had a stage where the whole field was a bit of a reduced field we had at Monza.
Yes, so, that was it, the one-off event. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So we did have a bit of a reduced field, and there was a point where I think we burnt up our stock of kind of filler points and what have you. So it was a case of, okay, where to go next? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Chris, it's been a pleasure talking to you as always.
Any good?
Yep. But obviously, final question really from me. Le Mans is coming up. The 24 hours. It's a double points finale. It's looking like a cracker, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Now, any fan of endurance racing is, this is the pinnacle of the calendar, isn't it? It is the rightful end to the season. It's just wonderful to be able to have the opportunity to talk about these amazing drivers. I have a huge amount of respect for endurance races, be it real world or sim. As I've done a little bit of sim racing myself. How on earth these guys do 3 hours, 3 hour plus stints, I will never know. I mean, I would be falling out of the chair, but within an hour and a half, I'm convinced of it.
Yeah.
So I have huge respect for the competitors. Front of grid, back of grid doesn't matter. The fact that they take part, and that's another part of my ethos. Is yes, of course, everybody likes to see the leaders and how they're doing. I feel it's our job as broadcasters, but certainly us as commentators, to give everybody an opportunity to be represented and to be represented fairly as well. I mean, these guys are the guys at the back are trying just as hard as the guys at the front. So I always feel it's fair to give. And you can't always do it. I mean, if the guy that's last and lapped is absolutely nowhere near anybody else, you might, the cameras might flick to him. He's still running, fantastic, But they're trying just as hard. They're having just as much fun. Well, we hope they're having as much fun. If they've been in the barrier 9 times in the same lap, they're probably not enjoying it as much as those leading. But that's another matter.
True.
So I can't wait for Le Mans to hit the Canadas. Really, really looking forward to that. I'm really hoping to get the start of the race this time. I don't always manage to, with my current schedule, manage to get the start of the race. I'm really hoping to, because that's, let's face it, all us commentators want either the start or the end or both.
Yeah.
Love the bit in the middle, of course, but that's where it all starts to come together. The start is obviously where the whole pack's together, where if someone's going to miss their breaking point into turn 1, it's going to be very messy. And we have the opportunity to scream our lungs off. But it's also the race that every driver wants to do well in. There'll be races in the season that some drivers are like, oh, okay, I'm not too worried if I don't do well there. Le Mans, come on. If you're an endurance racer, that's the one you want to do well in. Yeah, exactly. It's the Formula One Monaco, comparable, isn't it? It's Monaco is the race that Formula One drivers want to do well in, and it's the same kind of deal for endurance at Le Mans. If you want to win anywhere, it's going to be there. So yeah, I really can't wait.
As Alan McNish once said, you're doing the entire Formula One season in just one day.
One day. Yeah.
So, Chris, as always, a pleasure to talk to you. We know we're definitely going to have you as one of the 6 strong commentary crew for the EEWC 2021 finale that kickstarts on the 27th of October when free practice 1 gets underway. Chris, thank you very much for your time, buddy. Looking forward to catching up with you when we get things going for the studio event. We know that you're going to be working remotely from the UK, but a pleasure to talk to you, my friend, and bring on Le Mans, huh?
Oh, yes. And I cannot wait to do Le Mans with this incredible team. Not just the commentators, of course. It has to be said that those working behind the scenes to give us the images and to control the stream, and of course, those on the ground making sure that all the equipment's working right. Everybody works so hard to make this event as special as it can be. So it's a huge shout out to everybody involved, and I cannot wait to be part of it.
Well, there we go. Chris Buxton, everybody, one of the 6 strong commentary crew that will be with us for the Endurance eRacing World Championship finale, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, where double points are on offer in all 4 categories. Stay tuned for further content from us here at GTR24H. So from myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Chris Buxton, it's goodbye for now. We'll see you on the next installment of when we talk to someone maybe from the commentary team or maybe even from one of the teams themselves. Thanks for watching.